The official time has struck. It's officially 7:01, so I'll call the June 13th, 2018 work session meeting to order. Let the minutes reflect that all the board members are present, as well as a number of staff, and we have some distinguished guests that we'll be hearing from here very shortly. We have the May 23rd minutes before us, and would entertain a motion of approval for those minutes.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, minutes will stand. Take that back. We'll ask for a roll call vote. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Thank you, Lisa, as always. Monthly reports for May. I think they're all in except one, and I think Anna has addressed that with the one individual, and she will have that to us tomorrow. So we'll have all of our monthly reports in and filed. We have no public hearings this evening. We have two guests. So the first one is Carol Lindquist. This is for a request for an additional employee at 805 Liberty Street. Welcome, Carol. Dodd.
Hi.
Mr. Costello, if you would maybe just give a few more words and comments based on our earlier approval of this project.
Thank you, Tony. The board did approve Carol's request for a conditional use permit on February 8th, 2017, and you've been in there quietly working away.
Toiling?
One of the conditions of approval...
Toiling away.
Toiling away.
Toiling? Whatever. The last finding by the board was, given the scope of the appointment-only business, the site has adequate on-site and off-site parking to accommodate the use as proposed by the applicant. Then it stated any modification such as an increase in employees to that proposed by the applicant at the public hearing shall be reviewed and approved by the town board to ensure such modification does not adversely impact adjacent property owners. And that's really the reason why you're here this evening, for the board to be able to make a determination as to whether or not your proposal impacts or does not impact the adjacent property owners.
Okay, pretty confident it does not. But you never know. So I am incredibly busy and working 6 days a week as opposed to 5 like I had originally planned. There is a huge need for more groomers in Penfield because I get an average of 3 to 5 phone calls a week from potential new clients that I have to turn away. I have a friend who would like to come in and work. She would like to be a full-time groomer. She is currently a groomer elsewhere. She would like to come in and work out of my shop. The plan is that the main change is that the shop would be open 7 days a week as opposed to 5. But by doing that, she and I are only there together 3 days midweek. So there'll be 4 days a week where only one of us is working there. So I don't really foresee there being a parking problem. There's 4 spots available. The booking of the clients would still continue to be the same. One client comes in, gets groomed, client picks up, the next one comes in. There's very rarely an overlap. Most of the time my parking spots are empty. So I don't really see where parking is going to be an issue. There'll still be no kenneling, no overnighting, nothing like that.
I go by your place all the time, and I barely ever see anybody there. I was wondering if you were...
I had to put up an open sign because people didn't know it was
But you don't even park. Where do you park usually?
Well, sometimes I walk.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I just live a half a mile away.
Okay, so she would park there when she was there? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, she'll park. When I do park, I'm parking one of those outer spots,
Yeah.
farther away from the building. So she would park out there.
Okay.
That leaves the 2 closer spots for clients to come in and out.
Even though I think those parking spots are reserved for the business, there are these cars that park there that have those signs that say Marks on the top.
Or the bank employees.
Or the bank.
I tried to convince the bank to just pave the whole thing when they do that drainage fix, if they ever fix the drainage. But I don't know if they're going to fall for that.
What your hours are again?
I am currently working Tuesday through Saturday, but I work by appointment. So it varies. I don't usually start earlier than 9 because...
Would that be the case on Sunday as well? Just
Yeah.
Okay.
How late do you usually go?
Anywhere from 5 to 7. Because myself and this other person, usually we would groom 4 to 5, maybe 6 dogs if they're small. a day. So it's kind of a 9 to 5, 9 to 6, somewhere in there. The holidays occasionally go a little later, but, you know, and then we I shut down between Christmas and New Year's.
Do you specialize in one or the other, small versus large dogs?
Take them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't need like bigger facility, big dogs, like a big dog?
How about 3 at once? Is that where you're getting it?
No, I was just thinking groomers in general, you know, because
the
sometimes you have
equipment
a
that
big
I
dog,
had-
you have to have a bigger tub thing.
The equipment I have actually holds animals up to 300 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And I will never groom a dog if it's 300 pounds, I can
No.
promise you that. Just for my own physical self-insanity, that is not gonna happen. But I do have a couple 160 pounders that come in, but my tub holds that, the table that I have holds that. I tested it, I sat on it, rode up and down.
Yeah, especially parking spots, would it be worth putting those little signs that say like wolf on?
I do have signs.
You do?
Yep,
Do
yep.
they still, the marks still go there?
Yeah, I think they've kind of figured out when I'm working, so I think they sneak in there when they think I'm not there.
Well, the
But how would
problem
they
is that
know
it
since
is
you
shared
walk,
parking
right?
over there. Mark's allows everybody to park on their property too, so it is kind of shared.
Right, and I've spoken with the manager, he's a really good guy, he knows my son, so,
Right.
he's actually talked to all his employees, and they don't park over there during the week, so.
I don't see any
Sounds great.
significance.
Yeah, I'm delighted that you're doing so well there.
Yes,
It looks
Me too,
great.
me too.
It looks
I'm
really,
in love with my
Any of you need
location.
an appointment to get a little trim before?
No, I just defer.
I got a husky.
Yeah.
low maintenance grooming.
So we'll have Jim follow up with a letter and essentially just reference the original approval that we gave. This will be to extend, you know, by adding the addition of 1 employee and going from essentially 6 days a week to 7 days a week. So,
Okay.
and we can get that out. When are you looking to start in a perfect world with your, I won't say employee, your
The
fellow
other groomer? My other groomer? Well, she needs to give notice where she is, but hopefully within a couple weeks. So-
Then you'll be all set.
Yeah.
As far as,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion of approval.
Move. I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussions? Okay, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, great.
Thank you very much.
Get clipping.
I will go clip.
Got a guy behind you, you could send him for his license or something like that. That'd be a great
I had a potential client stop in today, I'm like, I'm booking in August. He goes, you mean I need to go into dog grooming now? Thank you guys,
I've
have a
been
great
considering
night.
it.
Thank you.
I've been considering it. All right, thank you. Our next guest is the one and the only, Mr. Rick Herman, who really needs no introduction, and he's going to give us an update of Homerama 2018 at Watersong. This is their 15th annual.
Actually, I looked it up, and I think we've been in the town of Penfield 10 or 11 times. This is the 8th one that we've done since my tenure, which has been 21, almost 22 years.
Wow.
So,
Good stuff.
I
Good
noticed you
stuff.
did not bring Bob the Builder with you tonight.
No.
Bob the Builder was traveling around.
Yes, he was. He went everywhere yesterday. So actually, I was going to stop and get one with a sign that says "Town of Penfield" coming up Empire. Unfortunately, there was traffic there, and I thought it was probably a little unsafe for me to be just pulling off to the side of the road. But a cute little story there. We started that with Bob the Builder during the Home and Garden Show, where he would visit some of the booths and some of the businesses and that, and social media has just taken off on it. They love to see little cute things like that, and we've had a lot of comments on that. So he visited all the houses and then some yesterday.
And then some, so very good.
So I did bring the normal town presentation. I'll submit to Mark. I didn't make copies for everyone. I do have copies of the map, however. and it's up there on the wall, and I apologize, they are small. It's small, I couldn't enlarge it much, but this is something that I did go over with both county and town folks, because we had talked about a couple of different ideas of how and where to park. But after a couple of meetings, it was suggested that we come up with this design and this layout. I think everyone knows that Homerama's been around for a number of years. It used to be an annual event of the Rochester Home Builders Association. We now do it biannually, just because of the amount of work and the economy. And it takes a lot longer for us to do an event of this magnitude, and it's quite expensive. So we are coming back here to Watersong. This will be our third time to Watersong. And it really works out well, and as I said to Mark, I like this layout this year, and I anticipate that it'll be an easy one to work with, and hopefully we'll work with the entire community, but certainly those folks that currently enjoy Watersong community. We right now have 7 models. 6 of them will be shown. The 7th model was in the show, out of the show, in the show. They have chosen not to participate with Homerama, so there's going to be 7 homes on the street, 6 of which will be in the show. The management of Homerama, as in the past, is pretty much myself and my assistant, Pam Bunt, who both of us will be on site each and every day. We have cell phone numbers, and we'll submit those to the town, so if there's any issues at all, whether it be on site, and that all you have to do is pick up the phone. We work well with the town. We did, as I said, have a meeting with planning, and then we had an additional meeting with the fire marshal to talk over a variety of different things, and quite honestly, I'm very pleased. He had some suggestions for us that we took into consideration and changed with the layout that you see in front of you. The tentative dates are August 18th through the 26th. We have not gone to the press yet, waiting for tonight's meeting. We never like to make any assumptions, so we waited purposely, but I can tell you those dates are pretty much solid now. When I did this was several weeks ago when we considered that. The homes are coming along well. 3 of the 6 homes are sold. And they're all sold in the 450 plus range. So we're going to be adding a nice value to your assessment rolls as we continue on. We do have a Realtor night and a preview night, which are preview nights. That would be taking place on August the 16th and August the 17th. The only time that I anticipate any issue at all is August the 17th at the preview. It seems like everybody comes to the event and everybody wants front row parking, and that gets a little bit crowded at times. And even though we're prepared with it, with our volunteers that do parking, and we're prepared with it with the parking spaces that we have, over 500 parking spaces. I do warn everybody always that sometimes, and it's 3 hours. It's a 3-hour preview, and it's done and it's over with after that. Part of the proceeds of Homerama do go to local charities, and I mentioned our parking, our ticket-taking people, a variety of different folks will be involved in this year's Homerama as in the past. We do have some structures on site, a temporary building, which is our ticket booth. We have bathrooms that are self-contained bathrooms that are flush, that we work with the sewer folks and get a temporary permit to empty into the sewers there. We are considering an events tent this year, where we will be doing some minimal events We're negotiating with a local musician that has a kids camp for musicians, maybe bringing them out and playing some music some evenings, maybe doing some wine tastings. There's been a variety of different things that we've looked at, but we think that the more events that we do there, the more we make it exciting for people to visit, and it's not just to tour the 6 or 7 homes. The entire site will be handicap accessible, and I'm working with a local town resident who lives in the town of Penfield, one of our members, providing ramps for each of the homes and that. The parking and traffic control is pictured up here on the map, or the map that I gave to you in front of you. We are coming in Watersong Trail through the existing community and looping around, and that typically is not what we would do. However, after talking with the county DOT and state DOT, putting in a temporary haul road or entryway off a 5 Mile Line Road was kind of looked at and frowned upon. There is a dip there in the road. There's a fire hydrant that comes into play, and they didn't like the idea that we couldn't line directly across from Silverwood. So when I came here, and I had this conversation ahead of time, when I came here and met with the town planning and the fire marshal, everybody thought it would be best. It's a 9-day show, with the exception of that Friday evening, that if the proper signage and no parking signs and signs of going slow, it would be safest and most encouraged to come in the hard surface for everybody's sake, including any emergency responders and that. So this is the design that we have. It's pretty simple. There's plenty of parking, and we actually have more parking that we could put in, and I probably will now that I've mowed it and I can see what's back there. I'm in pretty good shape, and I'll probably put some additional parking, so we're prepared for that. That's about it. I think the only thing that I'd like to remind everyone is, in the past, we do get a New York State DOT highway work permit for the main roads within the town, and that are our state roads, for our signage, and we'd like to see if we could get a list of signs to you and do one blanket as we've done in the past, and that. All of our signs meet New York State DOT. That application, again, I haven't put anything in until after tonight's meeting, but that application is ready to go in. It is not a promotional sign, it is strictly signage for directional purposes only.
Excellent. Questions, board, for Rick?
Now, Rick, I think, clearly you know what you're doing, and it's been successful in the past, and we thank you for choosing Penfield again to come and do it. One of my typical questions in these situations is, have you reached out to the residents in the neighborhood to let them know, what's coming, so that they don't get caught off guard?
Yeah, there was one email to the association. John Antitomaso, one of the owners of the property, has been talking with the residents. I have not gone to any meeting myself personally, but he said most everyone is favorable of this. There was some question about coming in the road and the direction. I responded in the manner that I knew and told that resident what we were planning. At this point, once we get the approval, I'm sure that either John or myself will send out all the necessary information and that. Again, as I mentioned, this is typically not what we would have done. We don't like doing it. We would prefer to get people in and get people out rather than bringing them through the community. However, in this particular case, we're looking at it as a safety issue and that. The other thing is I was also told just recently, and I haven't been there, but there's a Facebook page for Watersong residents and that. And once we get to that next stage, I will be more than glad to post it, put my telephone number there, answer any questions, and that. We want to be neighborly.
Yeah, and John lives in the neighborhood, if I'm correct,
Right,
right?
that's
Yeah,
correct.
So, yeah, okay.
John has spoken to the neighbors, he's conveyed that to me as well, so.
Yeah.
And I assume there's still several residents at least who purchased their homes through a prior Homerama.
Well, we've done two.
So they kind of know the drill,
Yeah.
if they are, original owners from that time.
The provider of the tent is, I don't have to worry about babysitting the tent because he lives in the tract now, or in the community now, so.
Do you ever
It's kinda-
secure the buildings from the county, from the,
Well, we're waiting to hear. I have had conversation. We're just asking, Jim was asking about the millings. We have some on site from the previous show that were stored in the back. And I have had conversation with County DOT, and Jim was reached out as well last week. We're waiting to see what our schedule is and when we can get them. There's 4 roads that Keeler is milling in the town of Penfield and the town of Webster. So we plan on getting some of those millings. It just makes it a nicer, safer way of bringing people in. Once they come down Mayor's Garden, they will come to the T, and we will have handicap parking in the straight on, and then that the road in between those fingers, we would put millings in there, so everybody will be on a hard surface until they get to the T, and then they'll go onto a temporary hard surface in and out of the show, and leave the others, natural, because that'll just grow back. I mean, at this point, we are not stripping it or anything. And I know there's a conservation easement in the back. I don't foresee that we need that additional parking. We did have conversation. The easement that's filed does not say anything about use of that, but I don't think that we need to disturb that at all. The rest of the site will stay, at least on our, what Antetomaso group is doing, I can't speak for and that, but for our point, I don't think that we need any additional.
Sounds good.
Board, other questions or comments for Rick?
It's exciting, I'm looking forward to it, and
Just want to go to.
I'll make a motion, if
Okay.
necessary, to
So I think really, this was just general information
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's
overall.
presented, is there anything we have to approve or not?
And so I think, staff and PRC has done a good job of, working through all of those things. So I think tonight's purpose was just to make sure that there were no questions, concerns, or what have you. And, essentially we can, if we want to memorialize, which might be a good idea, Paul, our support of this, in a formal setting, and would entertain that motion of support. Is there a second?
Sure.
Second.
Okay, and Rick, everything that you spoke about, now have the opportunity to move forward with getting the, permits in place for, signage, and all the other things that you need to submit to either county, state DOT, and the next thing will be to have the event in August.
Great, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
So, been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, look forward to it. Rick,
Great.
thanks for taking the time to
Thank you.
update the
Appreciate
board
it.
on
Take
this.
care. Why don't you keep that one? I've got an extra one. Okay.
Okay, we're going on to action items, and the first action item is the sidewalk policy. The board discussed it at their last meeting in May, their last work session in May. I think it was the 23rd, and the board at the time asked to have that item tabled, to have the chance to kind of digest the policy, what they heard from Mark, and some of his comments that he made about the updates that went into the sidewalk policy. So with that, I would ask the board any questions, concerns, or issues that you have for Mark.
No, I don't have any questions or concerns. I think after review, certainly after lengthy conversations we've had here around the table during work sessions, I think you've done a great job kind of capturing our thoughts and sort of, I think, a future vision for how the sidewalk policy would work, especially with East Penfield and everything not included in East Penfield. So, I just, like I said, when we tabled it at last work session, just wanted to have an opportunity to take a look at it. I think everything in there was well thought out, so I don't have any other concerns.
Okay, and we're okay with the increase to the waiver fee that was being proposed and Mark explained at the meeting? Okay. Anything else jump out? I'll ask staff, anything new since our May 23rd work session that you would like to bring to the table that wasn't already discussed or proposed as part of the new sidewalk policy?
I think the only thing that is new is there was a new county bid for this year. I think we were at $36.75 last year. It's almost virtually the same as like $36.95 this year. So there's a small tweak in there. But in the policy was the intent to kind of track that as we go along.
Right.
And link to that, so as they bid it annually, you can kind of see the construction cost increase and kind of keep our policy
And not have
current
to change the policy
with
every
it. So,
year.
at any time, obviously, it can be revisited, but just to, as we're looking at all of our fees and keeping things, equal across the board, that, those costs kind of increase as they go along, and it doesn't have to, lag so far behind.
And it provides predictability for property owners, to be able to look that up easily on the website if they want to.
Yep.
I think you've done a great job too of ensuring, consistent application across the board, so we are treating residents and property owners equally with respect to sidewalk issues.
Okay, very good. Would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Been moved by Rob. Is there a second?
Second.
By Linda. Further discussion? Seeing none. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mark, you'll prepare a resolution for our next meeting, which will be next Wednesday, the 20th, for adoption of the policy.
Will do. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. We'll move on to our second action item. This is a request for conditional use permit for massage therapy at 1832 Penfield Road. We had the public hearing. Mr. Costello, the ball is with you for any additional comments, input, feedback that has come back from that.
Thank you, Tony. As you recall, we had our meeting on the 6th of June. Mrs. Kennedy indicated that she would be the only operator at the site. Any additional person coming in would be for a periodic situation for couples therapy, that kind of thing. She has 2 parking spaces on site. She has on-street parking for 13, which is correct. And her intent is to work from 9 to 5, 7 days a week. And everything's appointment only, no walk-ins.
Yeah, I mean, she was very complete in her application except for the signage.
She's got to prepare a sign package for your review.
Yeah,
That would be a condition of approval.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm in favor.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll move that we,
So it's been moved by Linda, seconded by...
I'll second.
Second by Rob, and we'll just follow with a resolution of approval that we'll have for our next meeting. We'll take into account those items that they mentioned. And then I guess one question from a signage standpoint.
She owes you a sign package.
And she owes us, okay. So I think we include that as part of that before any signs go up, that we get that put in place. Going to be on the first floor only, and really no interior work, only painting, no employees, as you mentioned, Cos.
She's
Okay.
already indicated she's going to be sprucing up the outside, I know, with some landscaping and
Yes.
so
Okay.
another
That
good
will also
addition
be a
to the four
condition of
corners.
approval.
Very good. Okay. Moved and seconded. Seeing no further discussion, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, very good. That brings us to informational items. There are no items on that, and there being no further items before the work session this evening, the June 14th, 2018 work session will stand adjourned at 7:30 sharp. Thank you to the board, staff, PCTV.